On a day like today, the Austro-Hungarian Empire declared war on Serbia after the assassination of the Archduke Francisco Fernando, unleashing a conflict that will last 5 years, transforming the world that we know today.
Due to this event, many issues of great importance, such as religion, culture, politics, economics, and sports, were affected by this great problem.
Sport was one of the main protagonists, thanks to social situations such as racism, narcissism, colonialism, among others. So instead of becoming a simple sport, it became a cultural situation.
So now we will explain how the sport was formed during all these years. During the 1920s, sports like cycling, boxing, and soccer were coming to the fore.
As a curious fact, during the First World War, at the Battle of the Somme in July 1916, a million grenades and 4 soccer balls were thrown on French territory by German troops in what would be the decisive confrontation of this war conflict. At the beginning, the balls were covered with leather, very characteristic for that time, so it served as a motivation for young soldiers. Since its creation in 1863, soccer had become the most famous and adored sport in the world, something that continues to this day. So seeing something like this inspired the troops to defend the field without a defense or a goalkeeper. Soccer suffered from various political undercurrents, which we will explain below. The first World Cup would take place in Uruguay, with the reason that there is an integration and cultural exchange between all the participating nations, a background and quite noble purpose. However, more than union, the Soccer World Cup has created separation, reaching the point that one person could hate another only because he is from another country, thus arising a political idea of extreme nationalism that reaches levels of radical fanaticism, something that unfortunately persists to this day. After that, 2 more World Cups were held, these being those of Italy in 1934 and that of France in 1938. The next 2 would take place in 1942 and 1946, but were interrupted by the unexpected arrival of the Second World War in September of 1939. Of course, not everything is good. Since the First World Cup, many accused the event of acting as a corruption network, where it was believed that behind all this happiness and sportsmanship, there was something darker, things related to prostitution and trafficking. In addition, rumors arose of an extensive arms and spice trafficking network. It is really sad that something like this is thought or that it really happens, because something that should reflect passion and union can become a world of total discord.
Jesse Owens, the person who defeated narcissism during the Olympics in Berlin. This young athlete was an African American person considered during his heyday as one of the best runners in history, breaking several records. But his greatest feat was to show Adolf Hitler, Germany, and the United States that there was no superiority of the white race.
Because of the Olympics will be held in Berlin, Adolf Hitler was already preparing propaganda about the superiority of the white race. What was not expected is an African American who was going to prove everything. But sadly, the story does not end well. Owens could never understand the meaning of what he just did. So when he returned to his country, he continued to be treated as just another black man.
During the year 1940, many of the major competitions, just as the Summer Olympics or the Tour de France, were not contested due to World War II. This helped to the formation of many different regional competitions all over the world. Also, in the same year, the Chicago Bears defeated the Washington Redskins 7-3-0. This game still holds records for the highest score and biggest win in National Football League history.
FIFA World Cup has been running every 4 years since 1930, or has it? In fact, officially, there weren't tournaments held between Italy's victory in 1938 and Uruguay's triumph in 1950. Indeed, there was once a gap of 12 years without a single World Cup tournament. Why was there such a long gap? Record books show that no one won the World Cup in 1942, but that's not the entire story. The FIFA World Cup was set to take place in 1942 in either Nazi Germany or Brazil. The South Americans were outraged that Germany was even considered, as the previous two World Cups had also been hosted Europe. Uruguay hosted the inaugural tournament in 1930, and the competition was supposed to be alternate between Europe and South America. FIFA still hadn't made the decision between Germany and Brazil when European hostiles broke out in September 1939 after the German troops invaded Poland. This was the start of the Second World War. As a result, it was decided that the 1942 World Cup would be cancelled.
In conclusion, sports during the 20s and 40s were difficult times for the entire history of mankind, as many problems began, little by little, to emerge below the surface. Both world wars seriously affected the world in all aspects, but sports served as a great medium for the dissemination of political ideas. Propaganda of all kinds was spread around all sporting events, in order to guide people along the path that each current believed correct. But this did not prevent them from being equally enjoyable, enjoying how your favorite team or athlete won a medal or a trophy. Even if it has its bad points, the sport was placed in the hearts of every person.